All right, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakar Kodash. I want to say and give double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. And salutations to my fellow Akim across the four corners of the globe, preaching and prophesying in the name of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Here on the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson. And I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, as well as the mixed multitude of men, women, and children. Again, this is the brother Gabar Howard from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson. And this lesson was inspired by this movie right here. This is the picture of the director of this movie called Killers of the Flower Moon. Um, Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, I'm not sure this Indian woman named Leonardo DiCaprio, right? This Gadite woman right here, and which oh shit, all of these are Jakes right here, you know what I mean? But what inspired this lesson was a scene from this movie that I'm watching, right? And I know brothers that already watched it. It's a real good movie already, and it shows you how Esau manipulated Jake out of their wealth. How they swindled the so-called Negroes, and chiefly the Native Americans. Which are the tribe of Gad. These are our people. And I'm glad that this movie kind of like shines light on it, because normally whenever you hear the narrative of so-called Native American people, which are the Israelites of the tribe of Gad, Reuben, and Issachar, but mainly the tribe of Gad here in North America, it always starts with the immediate oppression, that Esau brought on Jake, meaning the violent oppression, from Andrew Jackson, the so-called Indian killer, to the displacement of our brothers and sisters through something called the Trail of Tears, which killed millions of our people. And they had to walk from the East Coast all the way to the middle of America, which is in Oklahoma. And it was a terrible trek. And it's crazy because real quick, let me start off with this precept right here, because we're all in captivity under this man. What is this? Jeremiah. It's the book of Jeremiah. Okay, Jeremiah. Let's see, it might be 50 and 16. It says, Salakia, Jeremiah. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33. So I was in the right chapter. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go." Okay? And all of these nations took us captive, but mainly the so-called white man, the nation of Edom. It says, "This is what the Lord of heaven's army says. The people of Israel and Judah have been wronged. Their captors hold them and refuse to let them go." Right? And this so-called white man here in America, and I'm not talking about these men right here, even though they're Israelites and they're wicked, but we're talking about Esau, Edom. The real story of this man that held, that put held, Robert De Niro plays. Matter of fact, like, the character that Robert De Niro plays in this movie, his name is William Hell, and he was a stone cold devil, demon, right? And in this movie, and I'm only at the beginning of the movie, they show you how Esau was marrying into the so-called Native American family, the Osage people families, getting their women, and they would kill the woman, keep the child they had with the woman. They would kill her, and they would take their wealth. And a lot of Osage people were ending up dead because these devils was going to the land of Osage because it was full of wealth, and they were robbing Jake. They were robbing them. They were lying. They became their something they called. They had to have a well, we're going to get into it. I don't want to overstep my boundaries in this lesson, but basically, Esau used the money, the wealth that the Osage people were producing via oil to enrich himself, and he found a subtle way of taking people's land. It says William King Hill was an American political boss and a crime boss in Osage County, Oklahoma, who was a major perpetrator of the Osage Indian murders. All right, and it says the Osage Indian murders were a series of murders of Osage in Osage County, Oklahoma during the 1910s and 1930s. Right, it says for which he was later convicted. He made a fortune from cattle ranching, contract killings, and insurance fraud, and he did that against our people. Right, he destroyed our people to steal their wealth. It says Hell and his nephews Ernest and Brian Burkhart conspired to kill several Osage people for their Osage head rights because they had head rights to the land. It says an Osage head right is a type of head right in the United States. There are 2,229 Osage head rights, one for each member of the Osage Nation enrolled in 1906. Osage head rights entitled the owner to a quarterly share of the Osage mineral rights, right? And it says, after Ernest married Molly Cow, a native Osage. Let me read it again. Hell and his nephews Ernest and Brian Burkhart conspired to kill several Osage people for their Osage head rights after Ernest married Molly Cow, a native Osage. And, she's a simple woman, you know. She married this man, and he didn't marry her out of love and out of sincerity. This man married her to steal her money. It says in May of 1921, Hale hired Kelsey Morrison to kill Molly's sister, Anna Brown. Morrison later confessed to the murder, saying Hale had hired him in exchange for forgiving a $600 debt owed. Half of Anna's head rights were inherited by her mother, Lizzie Q, who died exactly 6 days later. Her other heirs were Molly, Rita Smith, and Grace. And it goes on, but um this story right here called The Flowers of the Killer Moon, right? It shows you how Esau was robbing our people, man, and destroying our people. And that's why the scripture says what? Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. When you watch this movie in the beginning, you see, come on. When you watch this movie in the beginning, you see Jake and wealth, like so-called Native Americans living like Edomites, man. They're indulging in wealth, and Jake and the Southern Kingdom did this too. You had the same situation happen with the Southern Kingdom in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I typed in was Tulsa oil rich during Black Wall Street. It says events of the late 1800s and early 1900s helped set the stage for Black Wall Street. The oil boom in Tulsa in the early 1900s led to a significant increase in population, wealth, and opportunity. As Tulsa began to attract more industry and commerce, Black Americans saw it as a setting for a significant opportunity. And Jake was getting money. Jake was getting oil money, and that's another reason why you never see so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans here in America in the mineral business, mineral rights business, like oil, natural resources business. You don't really see too many of our people in that because Esau cornered the market. And this movie, Flowers of the Killer Moon, it's a great movie and showing you how Esau was robbing our people. Okay, and that's why the scripture says what? Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Even though it has all these of these so-called goodly things in it, this place is not our rest. You're gonna get nothing but wrong, right? That's what these nations have done. They have wronged us, and it's evident. And they'll put it in pop culture, they'll put it in movies, they'll put it in documentaries, they'll write it in books. But you don't understand the wrong that has been done to our people here, and it's sad. So in this article right here, how much of Killer Flowers of the Moon is actually true? And I just want to scroll down to this right here, right? It says Osage riches. In 1894, oil was found under the Osage reservation. And this is another reason why Esau uh, pushed our people off these different reservations that they put them on in the first place. Mind you, when you look at Osage land, ancestral land, right? Was their ancestral land. It stretched all the way from Pennsylvania all the way to Oklahoma. This is where they this is where they live. And then you had the Osage reservation. So they went from having all of this land to a small reservation, right? And what did the scripture speak about moving somebody's landmark, right? What the scripture say about that? Because that's what Esau has done. He moved landmarks, ancient landmarks. Let me see. Salakia. And I hope this is edifying. I thought it was, Spirit had me jump on it to do it. I feel like it's going to be edifying because it shows you that our people have been robbed and wronged in this place continuously. Outside of other things that we talk about, the slavery, the inherent racism against our people, and the oppression against our people. All right. Do not remove the ancient landmarks. Right. It's the book of come on now. Come on. Yup, Proverbs 22 and 28. Right? Proverbs 22 and 28. Okay, Proverbs 22 and 28. Proverbs 22 and 28. It says, remove not the ancient landmarks which thy fathers have set. And Esau has done that. He's done that all over the world, but especially here in America, because this America didn't belong to the so-called white man. It belonged to Gad. It belonged to Issachar. It belonged to Reuben, right? So-called Native Americans, so-called Seminole Indians, so-called Mexicans, right? And Esau took all this land, and then he put our people on a reservation. And then when he found out it was oil on this particular reservation, it was a fucking frenzy. Edomites came from all over the country, probably the world, to abuse our people out of their wealth, to rob them out of their wealth, okay? And that's what this movie, Flowers of the Killer Moon, show. I want to play a little, a couple of scenes from this. Let me play this real quick.
Yes, Mr. Beatty.
Well, you look after that, won't you?
Yes.
All right, people, let's form a line here for allotment payment. Unrestricted only. Restricted? Take your guardian. He has to be with you to find your jack. You need to find your guardian. Nothing new this time.
$30 photo for posterity. Don't you want to preserve your family history? Come on. How about you, sir?
Now, don't go after him. He don't know nothing. He's an amateur. You need a proper photo for you and your family. For you, sir, $40. For you, sir, $40.
How much? $40.
$40.
All right, $35 cash for you right now.
35's a deal. Come on, let's have to get it done. Come on.
So here it is. It was check day, and here go Esau right there, trying to manipulate Jake out of their wealth. Simple as Jake falling for it. One dude charged him $30. He comes and charged 40, and then he end up getting it for 35. Why? Because it was check day for them, and Esau set up this thing where Jake couldn't control their wealth. This also shows you that you're in captivity, right? I'm going to skip down real quick and I'm going to read back up. It says, Killers of the Flower Moon follows the true story of Molly Burkhart, an Osage woman married to a white man, Ernest Burkhart. Molly's large family owned multiple properties on Osage reservation, and they were thriving off the profits generated from their mineral rights, right? It says, hold on. They had something called, right here. It says, then on March 3rd, 1921, Congress, the U.S. Congress, once they found out Jake was making all kinds of money from this oil, Esau was like, no, we can't have this. So they took 90% of their profits and only gave them 10% of their profits, which was still a lot of money for back then. It says in 1894, oil was found under the Osage Reservation in Indian Territory. Despite a government-imposed cap that restricted the Osage to 10% of the oil profits, which they should have got 100%, is their land, right? Their ownership of their land's mineral rights was immensely profitable. So profitable, in fact, that the tribe made between 10 and 30 million per year. making them the richest people per capita in the world at that time. And these are Israelites. Then, on March 3rd, 1921, Congress enacted a guardianship program, ostensibly to help the Osage manage their funds. Any individuals who was more than half Indian blood or an Osage minor had to have a guardian who would be appointed until they could prove that they were competent enough to manage their own funds. And that's where you get these Edomites saying shit like, well, if it wasn't for us coming to this country, it would just be land and you'd be killing each other and destroying each other and all this other weirdo stuff. Like, we need Esau to manage manage us the way he manages this world, right? Telling you that you're incompetent and incapable of managing. That's why in this movie, the scene that you saw with this woman, she was sitting at the desk. She was that basically was her what they call it, her guardian, the Edomite, and he had to, in order for them to get money to do stuff, they had to go to Esau, right? Did not the scripture says in Deuteronomy that you're gonna go to them for the want of all things? Let me get that. For the want of all things, and in nakedness, and in hunger, right? Um, Deuteronomy 28:48. Okay, it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. And Esau, Edom is our enemy. And in this movie, especially in the beginning of that movie, it show you that Esau is the fucking enemy, bro. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in the want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And we know that was slavery. But he also pushed these financial yokes on you, right? He said you wasn't capable enough of handling your money. So these Edomites, they found a way to abuse our people through their finances, man. And they still do that to this day. It says, anyway, it says Osage miners had to have a guardian who would be appointed until they could prove that they were competent enough to manage their own funds. Guardians had total control over how much money an Osage person received, even how they spent it. Plus, they were entitled to payment for their services, which they were marking up their services to get the money, which they often took directly out of the Osage profits. Whether a member of the Osage Nation was competent or incompetent was noted on Indian census rolls, ensuring that incompetent Osage could not receive funds without a guardian's presence or permission. The guardianship program didn't protect the Osage. It put a target on their backs. Wanting a piece of the profits, white settlers, which these are Edomites, settlers flocked to Oklahoma, and unscrupulous businessmen, lawyers, and others attempted to swindle the Osage out of their mineral rights. But the most insidious attempts came from white male settlers who marry Osage women to assert their rights as a spouse, become their guardian, gain control over their money. And in this movie, I'm telling you, this is a good ass movie, and I ain't even 20 minutes in. I'm not even 20 minutes in, and it's sad, bro. It's fucking sad what they did. They were doing to Jake, and it's just a movie. We don't really know to the extent, to the extreme that Esau went to do our people in. And this is a common trait about it amongst Edomites. They did the same thing out here amongst the Japhites. They married into the elite families, and they had children, and then they basically pushed the natural Hawaiians out of their rulership, and then they replaced them. They took their wealth through marriages, and enrich themselves. This man's a devil. That's why the scripture says, Ecclesiasticus 12:16, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. And that's what happened in this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. Esau found blood, and he just went for it, man. He was just, the whole time he was thinking about throwing Jake into an immediate pit to rob him and to kill him and to destroy him and to take his wealth, man. This man's a thief, man. He's a liar, and there's all these Edomites. It's not just one. It's all of these Edomites. They get down like this, man. Psalms 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So this man will speak softly to you, tell you anything you want to hear, but the whole time he thinking about how to destroy you. Okay, this man right here, this fucking devil, look, he looked like Satan. You know what I'm saying? He killed a whole bunch of Jakes, man. You know what I'm saying? And these are just the ones that they spoke about. Mind you, this woman Molly Burkhart, she was making $135,000 per year in the early 1900s, bruh. She was rich, and they were robbing her, man. They were straight up robbing her. You know, and it's sad when you hear the wickedness that this man put on our people. Right? It says Hell was a segregationist and an influential member of the Democratic Party in Osage County. He had considerable influence over local Osage County prosecutor. During his election campaign, the prosecutor sought Hell's endorsement, and after receiving it, won every percent near Hell's ranch. Hell used his connection to confer with local investigators during the initial investigation of Ann Brown's murder. After Henry Ryan's body was discovered in a ravine, Hell accompanied the deputy and marshal to recover the body. Additionally, Hell hired blah 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 blah. So he would kill people, and then he would just basically manipulate the system, man. You know. Listen to this. A warrant for Hell and Ernest's arrest was issued in January 4, 1926 for the murders of Bill and Rita Smith. Ernest was apprehended immediately, but Hell could not be found. According to David Grand, Hell later turned himself in wearing a perfectly pressed suit, shoes shine and gleam, a felt hat, and an overcoat with his diamond-studded Masonic Lodge pin fastened to his lapel. Hell maintained his innocence, so federal agents focused on interrogating Ernest. He broke and turned state's evidence after being confronted with outlaw Blackie Thompson, who had been in the state custody for murdering a police officer. Willingly to testify, Ernest tried to hire him to do the killings. When confronted with Ernest's testimony, Hell maintained his innocence. The Department of Justice wanted Hell to be tried in federal court, fearing a potential influence over Oklahoma state courts. However, a federal judge ruled the killing, which took place under an unalienated allotment, fell under the jurisdiction of Oklahoma. Blah, blah, blah. It says, Judge notes the clouds of seeming guilt may dim thy brother's fame, for fate may throw suspicion shade upon the brightest name. While under trial in 1926, Hell sold his ranch and to the Drummond family. The ranch land was later broken up into sold into smaller ranches. So Hell was sentenced to life in prison, but was paroled in 1947. During a visit, Hell's relatives said he once remarked, "If that damn Ernest had kept his mouth shut, we'd be rich today." You see this shit, man? This man's the devil, bro. This man's the fucking devil. He's Satan himself, man. And it's all these Edomites, man. Not one of them good. No, none of them good. This is John 10 and John 10 and 10. It says, the thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. I come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. And that's why Yahweh Shai came, so that we could have life and have it more abundantly. Because the thief, Esau, Edom, what does he do? He comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy, man. And he'll do it with a smile on his face, because all Edomites get down like this, from the highest level to the lowest level, and they don't mind hanging a couple of their own out to dry, so they can seem like they making a point, but they still doing the same wickedness, They're still doing the same wickedness. Again, when you look at the ancestral land that our people own, it went from all of this to a small corner in Oklahoma. And when they found oil on that, what they do? Push the people out, rob them, drain the land. And they continuously do that all throughout America. If Esau found any mineral rights on any of these lands that our people are on, they put them in, they push them off the land, take the wealth, man, and leave our people with nothing. And that's why the scripture says that arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. This is Deuteronomy 28:43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. In this movie, Flowers of the Killer Moon, it showed that. It showed Jake actually living, literally going through that. These Edomites, they came up above our people, and we came down low. Because I guarantee you, if Edomites have land with oil on it, they ain't gonna have nobody um, as their what they call them, as their a manager of their funds. They're not gonna have guardianship. You know what I mean? But Esau believes that he has to be the guardian over you. But look what he does to you. He robs you and robs you blind, or he'll rob you to your face. You know. You know. It says yeah, there's just some of the paperwork from what they went through. Let's see what it says decades later. It says bringing the truth to light decades later, before the debut of the blockbuster movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, the dark chapter of the history remained relatively unknown. Yep. So how do these little known stories get uncovered? Uh, it started with a visit to Osage Nation Museum in Pahukasa, Oklahoma. On one of the walls was a beautiful panoramic photo of members of the Osage Nation alongside white settlers. And that's what they call them, settlers, but they were robbers. But one of the panels had quite obviously been cut out. When Grant asked the museum curator, she said the devil was standing right there, and that's Esau. The devil was William Hell, but Grams didn't want to enter the center of his book on a person who caused so much destruction. Instead, he chose Molly, the sole survivor of her family and a person who worked tirelessly to seek justice. A great peril to her own life, she crusaded for justice. You know, this is Molly's story. Graham began his research, and hearing of this compelling research, archive staff worked to help David pull more than 3,000 documents and relevant to the Osage, including. So a lot of times when Esau put this hell on our people, it goes, they hide it in the annals of history. But like the scripture says in Obadiah, let me get that real quick. The book of Obadiah 1 and 6, right? Obadiah 1 and 6 says, how are the things that Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up, man? So here it is, all his wickedness he tried to hide, but then it gets sought up. It gets found out. This the book of Habakkuk. Yep, Habakkuk 2 and 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. So Esau, all his glory is really shame. It's not glorious at all. And that's what this man is filled with. And he showed you what he did over here in America and all over the world, man. It's the same thing. Thou art filled with shame for glory, drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered, meaning that let his sins be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's hand, the Lord's right hand, Yahweh Shemashah's right hand, shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And it is. It is being turned unto him. And ultimately, when he gets put into slavery and he gets destroyed, and all his wealth is taken from him. Because as the scripture says in Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8, it says what? It says, because of unrighteous dealing, injuries, and riches gotten by deceit, therefore the kingdom is transferred from one people to another people, man. It says in the NLT, Habakkuk 2 and 16, but soon it will be your turn to be disgraced, right? It's going to be Esau's turn to be disgraced. Come and drink and be exposed. Remember, his sins being exposed. Drink from the cup of Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai's judgment, and all your glory will be turned to shame. And that's what movies like this, a lot of times they don't want this to come out. They don't want this to come out. They don't want it to be shown. They don't want it to be noted, but it's coming out, and there's more gonna come out, man. These are our people, man. Our people are destroyed, man. 6 misconceptions about Native American people, which they're Israelites, man. They're not Native Americans. They don't know. A lot of them Jakes don't know. They don't want to know, but it's the truth, man. Let me see what this says.
American girl, and today you're about to get schooled. We've evolved in not all of us live in teepees. Teepees were made for only travel uses.
Well, we own one, but we don't live in it.
We don't live in it. We just
Yeah, and that's the simplicity. And they always put the women up on here because they're simple minded too, you know. But that's part of their mockery, making that all so-called Native American people living in fucking teepees and tents, which they get the tents and traveling with them from the ancient world when we would travel to the wilderness, for things like the Feast of Tabernacles, man, or when we had to go take our tents to the wilderness and live in them when we were traveling and moving around.
camp in it whenever we want to. We use them for things like ceremonies or camping and such, but we don't live in them. I have to say to that, where is my check?
Yeah, you ain't gonna get no check. Yeah, because that's a misconception too that all Native Americans get checks handed out to them, and that's not happening. The majority of Gadites living on these reservations don't get shit, and these Gadites live in abject poverty. You think Jake live in poverty in the hood, in the ghetto? Go to the reservations, man. They barely got any natural resources.
We really don't get anything for free. Everything we get, we have to work for it, just like everybody else. If we had free healthcare, then the diabetes and heart disease rate would be very, very low.
And the reason why those are high because those are curses levied on our people for our wickedness, right?
Low. But at this point in time, it's very high.
Our dad works to provide for us. We don't get like money or anything.
We get schooling for free. That's not true either. We have to meet the same academic requirements as any other ethnicity.
You still have to apply for scholarships.
I thought it was just Donald Trump that didn't pay taxes. If we were rich off of casinos, why would we need government money?
Right, and then a lot of those casinos are underfunded anyway, and only a select few, and there's Edomites in there too, getting wealth off these so-called casinos, man. And it ain't a casino on every reservation. And remind you, a casino is only as good as its location, man. And Jake catching hell, man.
I think we just mostly lose our money to casinos. We all gamble.
Yeah, so that's it. I ain't gonna hold up for too much longer, but it's just sad, man, because these are the things that our people have to go through, and it's evident that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is a devil, and we're right for saying that about this man. We're not slandering this man. We're just telling the truth, right? And at the end of the day, it's more empirical evidence to show that this man's a devil, and that's why he's going to pay when Yahweh Bashem Yahushai comes to destroy this place, man. Abandoned in Osage, a century after the events of Killers of the Flower Moon, abandoned oil wells litter the Osage nation. So all of the oil wells that Esau had, he bled them dry, and now they just sit there on this dry land, and Jake ain't getting nothing from it, man. And Jake ain't getting nothing from it. It's sad. It's really sad, man. So, I definitely suggest that brothers go check out this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm going to have to watch it a little more later because I got to get up and go to work, man. But may the Lord bless and guide all you brothers and you select Akwak. I hope that this was edifying. And until the next time, I say shalom.